Hello and welcome to Burning Questions. It's a very special edition ahead of one of the biggest nights in harness racing anywhere in Australasia. I've even stupidly thrown the jacket on. I just thought I should have done this for the Ballarat Cup being obviously our biggest race, but Hunter Cup and Great Southern Stars very, very special. So we've donned the jacket. I see Andy hasn't, but he's very kind enough to join us as he always does. Andrew, are you in the Carl's Junior car park? I think that's where you're heading for lunch.
Yeah, no, not quite. Just here at Woodgrove, so found a shady tree to park under.
Salad roll again?
Yes, trying to be healthy when I can.
Yeah, might go out the window Saturday night if you have some success. Greg Sugars is on the top right of my screen. Greg, you got a huge night ahead. I mean, every night seems to be big for you. You got horses here, there, and everywhere. But thanks for jumping on the show, and there's a lot to gain out of your insights. You must be just very excited to be a part of a big weekend of racing.
Yeah, absolutely. No, all these carnivals, no matter where they are, they're always great to be a part of. And, when you've got a few, live chances with your own horses, it just makes it even more exciting and, to be a part of.
Yeah, good stuff. Where do we find you today? Just at home somewhere there?
Yeah, just at home, just sitting on the front deck. It's the only.
I recognise that driveway.
Only place we get reception around here. It's a bit up here. So, I'm just ducked away while the others are still working up at the shed.
Good man. And our third guest is a very special one. He makes his debut. And, it's great to have Mark Purdon on the line. Thanks for jumping on, Mark. And where do we find you today? You at your hotel room somewhere?
Yeah, just back at the hotel room, yep.
How's the trip been before we get stuck into the questions? I see you on social media catching up with some big names, having a drink and some dinner. And it is a working trip, isn't it?
Yes, it is, yeah. But, I've taken the time to catch up with a few people too, and it's worked out a really good week.
Good stuff. Thanks, guys. Let's get stuck into it. The first of our sponsors, Pride's Easy Feed. They stand as a proud supporter of the harness racing industry with their set recipes and quality ingredients to give the trainer confidence in what they're feeding. Make the switch to Pride's and start getting the result you've been chasing. The first question, the Bonanza will be fast. So who steps up and joins some greats of the past? Might go to you, Mark. You've been involved in this race plenty of times. You've probably won it. The only vivid memory I've got of you is when Lochinvar beat you on a horse. I think that might have been self-assured, but it's a great race. Correct me if you have won it. And who do you see winning it on Saturday night? It's an interesting event.
Yeah, it sure is. Yeah, look, I'm probably a little bit behind with some of these horses, but it was a race I think Lazarus might have won. I can remember back, but yeah. So, as I say, I'm a little bit out of touch with some of these horses, so I'll rely on the boys to help me out here.
Yeah, I'm a little bit the same. I mean, I know Perfect Class really well. Don't know a heap about Captain's Knock and Frankie Ferocious. They're the key ones in the market. Also, Captain Hammerhead, a $4 chance. Greg, what are your thoughts here? It's you've got Lou's Dream. You're driving for Jason Grimson, a $17 chance. The Sanderson Crew's got Dangerous, and also Katopareski's come out. But look, a really good race. Only good horses win it. There's probably not a Captain Ravishing or a Lochinvar in this field. But what's your opinion on Saturday night?
Yeah, it looks a evenly graded race, really. So it's a little bit hard. There's no standout for mine in the race. Captain Hammerhead was obviously a very impressive horse last time around. We haven't seen him for a little while now, but I believe his trials have been quite sharp. And a couple of the Sydney horses coming down obviously always makes our races interesting. So I don't know a lot about it, the one I'm driving, so it'll be interesting to get Jason's take on it when I speak to him on Saturday night. So, unfortunately, I can't sort of steer anyone into it yet without knowing too much about it. But it looks like quite a fast front line from what I can see there. So I think, the first few 100 metres will be very interesting to determine, who are the winning chances, whether it'll be a front runners race or set up for a couple of the swoopers to get over the top of them late. So very interesting race. Who would be the number one selection? Really not sure. Hopefully the one I'm driving.
Hopefully when you're well, I don't think we've found a winner yet from these two boys. Andy, can you help us out? Perfect Class obviously has really good form. First up from a break, as is Captain Hammerhead, competed in the Eureka against Catch a Wave and Co. Is it one of them, or are we looking elsewhere?
So I can narrow it down that the winner will be by Captain Treacherous. So I think the top four in the market all by Treacherous, and three of those runners, Perfect Class, Captain Stock and Frankie Ferocious, they're all equal favourite for the Eureka later on in the year. So, there's not much between them. So a few unknowns and a few tricky draws. Perfect Class gets out okay, but good chance it could get crossed. But that's going to be a quality race, and obviously it's a free hit. Whoever wins gets to run into the Chariots, which is a good way to get into the race. So I can't narrow it down who the winner is, but it's going to be a great race to watch, and going forward, it'll be a great form reference race.
Yeah, for sure. The second of our sponsors here on Burning Questions is Sulky App. Combining the power of results and horse sectionals with Sulky App, you now have access to gate speed, swooper, ability, and behaviour ratings. Never miss a trainer, driver, or gear change again. Sulky App is a form guide revolution. The Mercury 80 is a hard race to read, but who do we think will have the most speed? I might go back to you here, Andy. You won it last year with Catch a Wave, which we've had a bit of fun with, about it being a funny race for him to win and a weird sort of lead into the Chariots of Fire Miracle Mile, but it worked for you. Who's the winner on Saturday night in this 1,200 metre event?
Yeah, it's a little bit tricky, this race. It'll be Jack Sparrow. We know he's got terrific gate speed. He's probably going to find the lead, and keeps getting a pretty cheap quarter for the first 1,200, and it's probably why it has been winning these races. I think Greg will come out a lot quicker and probably put a little bit more pressure on this week. For our captain, he's going really well, and he's the class horse. He's beat home Catch a Wave in a race and everything, so he's beat some quality horses. So I think our captain's the one to beat. Obviously, Let's Rock, Let's Roll was a dangerous horse, and so she'll be Kung Fu. But I think Greg should be favoured, even though he's not. But I might try and make you favourite, Greg.
We'll go to you last then, Greg. I suspect you might be a little bit keen on La Captain's chances, Mark.
Yes, I've seen him through the week, Tim, and I've been impressed with the way he looks and the way he's worked. So Greg seems happy with him, and I think it'll be very hard. Yeah.
What do you make of it? I don't think you have any of these sorts of races back home, but what do you make of the 1,200 metre events? They've been probably a subject of debate. Some people love them, some people hate them, some people don't mind. What are your thoughts on the 1,200 metre scamper?
Yeah, well, look, I think really it pays to go on results and betting, and if it's a good betting turnover race and they're getting well supported, keep them up.
Yeah. I think they've been pretty solid. So, I think there's a space for them, Greg. And, you don't see many of these races, these 1,200 metre races, whatever grade, not well supported with nominations. They tend to be well supported. La Captain, are you confident in his chances, or have you got some reservations from Gate 9?
No, I'm really happy with the horse. We know he loves the short course. I thought he went really, really well. Even though he was beaten, like Andy said, we were sort of a little bit conservative there because the horse had done a lot of racing leading up to it. So he's had 2 weeks in between runs. Mark Purdon's actually had a couple of sits behind him and jogged him for me this week and put the polish on him. So if that doesn't make him go better, I don't know what will. But I think he'll run a hell of a race. Seems raring to go, so it'll be a solidly run 1,200 metre race. I can feel with that.
Yeah, good stuff. One punting story that sits in my mind, it's a successful result for me, and it involves you, Mark, and you wouldn't know this. I rang Nathan one day about a horse called Spellbound, and I said, what's the go with this horse, blah, 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 and he said something along the lines of, Dad's come over and had a look at him, and he said he's ready to go. Don't worry about going to trials. I think I might have found the 550 on debut here in Australia, and I think I've backed her every start since. So that sounds all right to me, Greg.
Yeah, absolutely. No better man preparing a horse than Mark Purdon. So we've been extremely pleased to have him at Lara J Farm for this. Wish we could keep him.
You get him on the payroll. Let's move on to the big ones. Logical Staffing Solution, a new sponsor of ours, and they're a fantastic one. They provide labour hire and recruitment services to the transport, warehousing, automotive and manufacturing industries. The logical solution for your staffing needs. Who leads a Great Hunter Cup, and does it even matter if Larry's on his game? Might start with you, Mark. You're involved with Don't Stop Dreaming. Of course, Larry is leap to fame. He's the short price favourite. Who leads this race through the early stages? And I'm assuming you'd like a little bit of speed on.
It would be a help. I think Andy's horse Catch a Wave will probably hold the early lead, and what Kate decides to do after that will depend a lot on the early speed. There'll be something probably that'll come out in between Leaps of Fame and Catch a Wave, but we'll just see what happens. But I'd say Leaps of Fame will be looking to work forward and obtain the lead.
How happy are you with your bloke, Mark? He's a $10 chance, third line of betting. He was really good on Australian debut the other day, just beaten by Greg's horse. Are you happy with him, and is he a realistic chance of winning?
Yeah, I don't know that he'd be a realistic chance of winning, but I'd certainly say he'd be a good place chance. He's done well. He had Gregs and Jesses through the week, and I couldn't be happier with him that way. No excuses, and second line draw. He's probably going to need a little bit of luck at some stage, but I think if he gets it, he'll certainly be right there.
What's his plans going forward, Mark? Will we see him in Victoria again, or is it up to Sydney for Chariots of Fire and things like that?
He goes on to Sydney for the Chariots of Fire. Yes.
Yeah, good stuff. Where would you place him in other horses? You've won the Hunter Cup a couple of times at least. Is he a shade below some of those stars that have won it, or in time can he be a really, really good horse for you?
Yeah, no, he's a very, very good horse. But he's only taken on these sort of horses twice now, and he's acquitted himself very well. But he probably wouldn't just be as tough as some of these horses that have gone through into Dominions and are just a year older than him at this stage.
Yeah. Greg, gate 7 for Better Eclipse, not ideal. $21 chance. Who do you see leading the race through the early stages? Is it Leap to Fame, or will Kate and Andy kick up with Catch a Wave, or is there a bit of a surprise packet? Curly James has got a lot of speed.
Yeah, no, I think Catch a Wave will clearly be the early leader. The only way it'll get crossed is if they choose to let something go. And I can't recall a race where Andy and Kate have wanted to relinquish the lead. The horse seems to run great races out in front. So I suppose it all depends, tempo related. Some things can, really, sometimes someone could throw a spanner in the works in a race like this and change the complexity of a race. But for mine, I would think he would be in front. I don't think Brand will get too involved right off the gate, but he will certainly be making his way forward to at least sit parked outside of Kate, shortly after the dust settles. So what happens after that, I don't know. From gate 7, I obviously need speed. Going to settle down, near enough to last, I would imagine, the way I read the race. So the horse is obviously in great form. He's raced really well this whole preparation. But, a bit like Mark, he's going to need something to go his way to say he's going to be a winning chance. But, I wouldn't be surprised to see him run into the minor money because he's in great form.
Can Catch a Wave win this race, Greg? I think he can. What's your thoughts? I mean, one's $6 and one's $1.40. Like, what? I know you're involved in the race. I don't know how you answer it properly, but it's not a foregone conclusion to me that Leap to Fame just wins this. I mean, from the death, he's been beaten in big races here in the past, hasn't he? Victoria Cup, and also I think Swayze beat him at Albion Park. But it's not a one-horse race.
No, definitely not. No, he's a great horse, obviously, Leap to Fame, and to see what he did on his home track during the Inter-Dominion series, he was just simply outstanding. But he has been vulnerable in a few of these elite level races when he's had to travel and things haven't quite worked out for him. I could see a scenario where Catch a Wave could win for sure. He had nothing go right in I think it was the Victoria Cup where he got caught wide, Andy, was it? And he had to go back fast. And Leap to Fame picked up early and was narrowly beaten by Act Now and was a sensational run. So I'm sure Andy and Kate have got him primed and ready to go for a race like this. He's got the barrier draw on his side, so there's no reason to think he's not a winning chance. Yeah.
Andy, I want you to hold the lead. I know you know that. I think you can win it by going all the way. You've drawn the gate. Leap to Fame, I think you've pointed out to me before that, he has been beaten from the death before, so he's not invincible. In my opinion, if Leap to Fame rolls to the front relatively comfortably, I mean, he just won't get beaten. So that's sort of my thoughts. I think you should try and go all the way. What do you think, though? That's more important.
Yeah, obviously all gets down related to tempo, what the other horses do outside us as well, and how hard they burn, like Typo, Curly James, and even Senior Art. So, but if he gets a comfortable lead and every time he's led, he's run a great race. Obviously, Eureka, he was probably his most disappointing start, but he wasn't quite right that night. So, yeah, no, we're confident that if he can lead, he's a quality horse. He can get the job done. But obviously, there's an option there to hand up to Leap to Fame. It just depends. But if he's stuck wide for a lap and works pretty hard, every chance we'll just leave him out there and take luck out of it and just see if we're good enough. So it's going to be a great race. Greg's horse is flying, better eclipse, and so's Mark's horse will be better for the run. Mark obviously likes staying at Lara J Farm. That's why he ran a close second to it last week. So he didn't want to lose. So it was well played, Mark. Like everything, it's a great race to be involved in. But like all of us as participants as well, like to see a great spectacle as well. No matter who wins or whatever, just be great. It's going to be a big crowd, warm night, that we can see a great race and a great spectacle. And I think there's plenty of good horses there going forward that are going to put on a good show.
Yeah, well said. A lot of people would look at the Eureka, Andy, and say Leap to Fame sat outside you and comfortably beat you, but there was a lot more at play there, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was. Again, he was off. He didn't eat for the 2 days in pension barn, but that's racing. We move on. But you go back and watch the Victoria Cup. The work we done early, which was equal to Leap to Fame, had to go all the way back to last, and we'll be able to come wide and run past him. So we know we can beat him home.
Yeah, and you've got him at the top of his game, haven't you? You're happy with him?
He's in great order. I'm going there really confident that he's going to be at his best.
Yeah, cool. It's going to be a great race. It really is. Let's move on to the other great race, and I think it's fantastic that this race has joined the Hunter Cup card. It just, I love the Friday into Saturday thing, but I think this is going to be next level, particularly being on free-to-air TV. We get to bring this Great Southern Star race to a thoroughbred audience straight on the back of, don't know where they're racing Saturday, but somewhere in Melbourne. Will it be a heat and final sweep for Harry, or will a sticky barrier bring the champ back to earth? We'll hold you till last, Greg. Mark, what do you think? You're not involved in the Great Southern Star, but I'm sure you'll agree it's a great race and a great concept. And Just Believe, is he over the line, or can he be beaten in this event?
They're never over the line, but he's probably as good as they can be. But he has got an awkward draw in that heat now, coming from the second line. Probably just need that little bit of luck early and possibly get it too. But I think if he does get off and gets a nice run through, nothing would beat him. He just seems to be just really in the zone at the moment, and he looks in great shape for the racing he's had. So get him through the heat, and I'd say with a half decent draw in the final, nothing would beat him.
Andy always jokes that this is a fat horse. I'm not great with judging horse flesh, but what are your impressions of him as a horse, seeing him up close at Lara J Farm, Mark?
He looks magnificent. He's just for the racing he's had and the travelling he's had, he's such a great doing horse. He looks like he's coming into racing without having a lot of hard racing under his belt. So got a great constitution. What
I know he's I'm probably reluctant to throw around the champion word too quickly, but where would you place him, Mark, at the moment? I think he'll certainly be a champion, but he probably is, to be honest. But, where do you see him in the great horses, in the great square gate, as we've seen?
Yeah, well, I'd call him a champion now from what I've seen of him. And, he's got to be up there with the best we've seen in Australasia.
Yeah, well, if you're saying that, I might rethink what I just said there. Andy, let's go to you. Majestuoso is your runner in heat, the first of the heats. He's a $7.50 chance. I guess the question is, though, is Just Believe over the line? You would probably say no.
Well, no one's over the line, but if he's the horse everyone wants to have and train, he can overcome so many adversities, and he doesn't matter where he draws, doesn't matter what distance, doesn't matter whether he gets lead or sits outside him. But if you're dirty on Greg and you wanted to pick a barrier draw to make things tough for him, this is a barrier draw you'd give him. And he probably had a little few sleepless nights just sort of worrying about it. And it's not going to be easy for him to negotiate that draw, but he's still going to be good enough to qualify. And if he does qualify, he's definitely the one to beat in the final. He showed last year he can back up. He can do it all. He's a champion horse. I don't think there's any debate about that. And he could, even though he's old, he could race for another 2 or 3 seasons at this level. Seems quite a sound horse and good gated horse. So he's definitely one to beat. And Majestuoso, not ideal race for him to race first up in, but obviously he's ready to go, and we saw an opportunity there. If we got a heat that Just Believe wasn't in, opportunity to race. I want to race at Just Believe. That was our train of thought. So hopefully qualify and run a race in the final.
Obviously, Andy, he hasn't raced since February last year. He won this race in 2022. Where's he at? He's not there to make up the numbers, surely?
Oh, no, he's not there to embarrass himself or embarrass ourselves. He ran a really good race. He's gone a little bit wide. He qualified for 2 Great Southern Stars by running 4th and 7th. So, with the unique conditions, there's an opportunity that he could run 7th again and still get into the final. So, we'll just see how it plays out.
Yeah, good stuff. Sorry, Greg. He is a champion. I don't know why I said that. I was trying to be controversial. He's a superstar. I just can't. I just love all the content that from a HRV perspective we've been able to do. Keema's great piece that you let her drive alongside him. Just so much cool stuff. Even him stretching the other day. Had so many people message me and just things that we don't. I think Andy said as well. There's things that we don't see sitting behind the laptop that you guys see every day. Probably don't think much of them, but they're cool to us, and that just shows the personality of these horses. He's a ripper, isn't he? I mean, he's a great horse. He's got a tricky barrier, though, and it got made a little bit trickier on Wednesday night with Macho Maori. So you'll start inside Macho Maori in gate 8, following out Perfidious Sue, who is a $151 shot. Are you in any way worried about this heat, or do you think it'll all just work its way out, given how good he is?
I suppose you're always worried when you have a horse like him. You don't want anything to go wrong. You don't want bad luck. And, under these circumstances, you've got horses in the race that really could bring you undone through, their poor manners and intractability and things like that. So, as Andy said, if you wanted to get the worst possible spot, well, this is it. So, it obviously is a little bit of concern. I just don't want anything to go wrong and anyone to cause any trouble for the horse. But he is a champion. He's a great horse. He's as good as we've ever had him at the moment. And, he has, equal luck with everyone else and gets clear running. He's obviously the one to beat. But I've always said all along to the owners sort of leading up to this race is that, if he's going to be vulnerable in a race, that this could potentially be it, because there's a lot of fast trotters here at the moment that can run good miles, have good gate speed, and if we didn't draw well in a heat, which we haven't, then he could be a little bit vulnerable. Unfolded draw, I think it's going to be a keenly contested race up front. But of course, everyone's got to be mindful not to spend too much petrol in the heat to get through. So that'll draw out for us.
Yeah, just to press you one more time on the heat. There's RC Phoenix in there who's gone hell for leather and won a Maori Mile, Queen Elite. Have you got an idea whether you'll try and just come with one run and qualify, or is the death there? It's not absolutely certainly there, is it? If you come looking, it's just such a short race for you to make up your mind. Have you got a bit of an idea how you might attack it as the barrier starts to score up?
Not really. I'm not going out there with any preconceived plan of how we're going to drive the horse. As Andy touched on, he's such a versatile horse. He can race any which way possible. So, as most of these races are, we hear Andy say it all the time, it's tempo related. So, we've obviously got to get through the little bit of traffic early and lob the spot early. But if there's no tempo in the race, then we'll certainly be putting him into it. And they're rolling along at a nice even speed. Well, then I'm sure he's still good enough to chime in at the half or wherever it may be and still be right there in the finish. So it's the beauty about him. He's not a one-trick pony, and however the race unfolds, we can adapt to that any situation, I think.
And if you're lucky enough to be drawn out as the first connections for the final, for the barrier draw, you'll throw in a 7 for us or a 9 or something just to have a bit of fun, won't you?
Can't promise that.
Thanks, boys. I put a thing out on Twitter the other day saying you guys are on, and if anyone wanted to ask any questions, got a few silly ones. We'll save that. But we got some serious ones, so I better ask them. What do you guys admire most about your father's horsemanship, and what is a good tip they gave you about horses? That's from Chaff and Oats. Might go around the room. Mark?
I admired most he had a great work ethic, Dad. He was always very, very kind to his horses, and he always fed well. So those things have stuck in my mind.
Greg?
Yeah, again, like Mark said, work ethic. I think that's pretty common denominator with anyone that's had any success in this game. But Dad was always a hard worker, always drummed it into us that you sort of had to do the 1%ers. But the other thing was he liked to treat horses as individuals. And there's not sort of one rule to training that fits all horses. So yeah, he was always very big on changing something up for and try all different possibilities for each horse and give it every possible chance.
And Andy, surely it was something along the lines of be kind to people in the media?
No, he told me, he says, it's too hard a life, go get a trade, so I become an electrician. But he come back to it. But obviously, like all of you, attention to detail and treat every horse individually was probably the main thing too for my dad. So they are individuals like people who have different personalities and different traits, and all built different. Some are skinny, some are fat, some are middle of the range. So just watch with your eyes and listen to them.
Yeah, good stuff. A couple of real quick ones. Mark, do you prefer races/tracks with sprint lanes or no sprint lanes?
I would say sprint lanes.
Greg?
Yeah, I think sprint lanes. We're just all too accustomed to them now. I do like the challenge, having said that, of driving at certain tracks that don't have them. But I think as a general rule, if we only had one option to build a track, with one or without, I think sprint lanes.
I think you're going to keep more punters happier than not if you did that. Andy, your thoughts?
Sprint lanes, and we do have one at Melton, but you didn't wait for it last week, Greg.
No, that's right. You don't have to do it just because it's there.
And the last one, this is from the same guy, Ye Cats. I don't know what that means, but every horse has to find a place in a race. But when there is a genuine choice, what is the reasoning to take leaders back or peg line with no sprint lane? I see this often. I'm assuming it's better than death seating, but to the mug punter, it seems to be conceding the chance to win. Mark, it's a tricky one, but I guess it's every race and horse and tempo to its own, isn't it?
Yeah, look, I think when you go into a race, you've got to drive the race to suit your horse, and horse is getting eyeballed, and you say, well, he's not tough enough to be copping this. You've got to take your chances and let the other horse go, providing he's a realistic chance.
Greg?
Yeah, exactly right. It's hard to give one definitive answer for that, but more often than not, I know a lot of punters don't like putting fancied horses on the fence, and especially if there's no sprint lane. But you might find you're in a position that sometimes being in say 1 out 1 back, for example, or 1 out 2 back to a punter might think that's a great position. But if you can sort of analyse early in the races, where your dangers are going to be and what the second half of the race might unfold, you might find that if you don't think you're strong enough to sort of make a mid-race move, put it into the hunt, or be the first one 3 wide, well, you're going to get shuffled back and out of the race and, having to come extremely wide anyway. So the fence is the shortest way home. More often than not, when, moves are being made and it's a fast run race and you've got a nice horse that's in front, speaking, the horses that are leaders back and 3 back the inside, they're going to get a good trail through, and then they do need an ounce of luck to find a gap on some occasions to get through. But you find more often than not you get it, and whether you get it in time to be a winning chance or not, that's the trick. Andy,
your thoughts here? I guess there'd be one scenario where you would say maybe Catch a Wave's a faster horse over a 300-metre period than Leap to Fame. That's why you would maybe consider handing up. Is that one of the reasons?
Yeah, it all depends on the horse and over the distance and what they're used to and everything. And as Greg said, probably most place getters and most winners come from the fence. And I always find amazing that if you're a driver and you drop to the fence, the stewards won't jury you. But if you come off the fence and give away that prime position, come in the running line, they don't care. So I think they got it backwards. So yeah, it's all relevant to the race and how much work you do early. Sometimes you've been a pretty quick lead time, and then a horse will move around and sort of challenge her, and you sort of got to have to concede. You just can't keep going the whole way. So if you get a cheap lead time, you probably hold it. So I keep saying it, keep harping on it. Everything's related to tempo these days.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. That's really good. We may try that again going forward, but we might just keep an eye on some of the other silly ones that come through. Best bets is a very important part of the show. I might throw it straight to you, Mark. I know you're probably not as across the form as some of the other guys on the show, but have you got a best bet at Melton on Saturday night, or have you got one back home for us that we don't know about?
We've got Oscar Bonavina in tonight, but you're not going to get rich. But he should win. And for Melton, I'll stick with La Captain. I thought he seems pretty well.
Okay, La Captain, throwing the pressure onto you, Greg. Are you going to double down with that one, or are you going to put it on Harry's shoulders, or what are you doing?
Yeah, no, I was going to go La Captain, so Mark stole me thunder there. So
you can go him. That's fine.
Yeah. The other one, I suppose, maybe not at Melton, but we've got one in tonight, first up, a horse called Fighter Command. I don't think you get rich off him either, but I think he's a very nice horse moving forward. So, you might be able to get a little bank to roll into Saturday night. Yeah,
I was going to ask you about him. I remember Luke Humphrey's call when he won, maybe on debut, but Luke almost fell out of the ground. He said he's a very, 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 very nice horse, this one. Do you agree with that? I mean, is he sort of Group 1 material?
Potentially, yeah. We've had a massive opinion on him from sort of day one. He was a sort of big, raw, overgrown sort of horse as a 2-year-old, and his couple of racetrack performances were very impressive for a horse that sort of wasn't really 100% comfortable in his gait at that stage. But I think as he gets older and continues to mature, he's going to turn into a lovely horse.
Yeah, nice. Andy?
Well, I don't want to make it a clean sweep with La Captain, so I'll change. I'll go Catch a Wave. I'll put all the pressure on myself, and I'll make tech.
Well, I like that. So it's basically La Captain, Catch a Wave. I'm a little bit softer than you, Andy. I'm going to go Catch a Wave to run a place at $1.50. I think that is just an absolute lock. And Just Believe to win the final at around the same price. I don't know, what's that? It's a bit better than $2. So I'm going a multi, but it's still a bit soft. But that's my play. Hey, guys, thanks for this. It's been a great show. It really has. So I'm sure that when we upload this later on today, it'll be really well received. Thanks for jumping on, Mark. And I'll make sure I buy you a beer on Saturday night after the races.
That's right. Sounds good.
Thanks, Greg. Much appreciated, and good luck on Saturday.
Thanks, Tim.
And same to you, Andy. And I don't know if I'll buy you a drink. Maybe you can buy me one if you win the Hunter Cup on Saturday night.
I'll eat.
Thank you, mate. That's been Burning Questions February 2. Make sure you tune in. There's a stack of ways to watch on Saturday night. Racing.com's got the free-to-air coverage. You can watch it everywhere, though. Sky Channel, you can listen to it on SEN Track and RSN. Or, best of all, get on track. That's been Burning Questions, and we'll see you next week.